I am going live here on YouTube and on Instagram. So we're going to try both at once and see how it works. Let me change just a little bit here on YouTube, but welcome. Come on in, everyone. Today I am going to be sharing the titles for my graphic novel book club for the 2025 to 2026 school year. I have graphic novels sitting like all around right now. They are everywhere because there are, I think I counted 31 titles for this coming school year. The reason there are 31, we actually meet less than that. We meet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I should know this. 22 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. 27 times. But there are about 4 or 5 times this coming year where the 8 to 10-year-old book club reads a different title than the 11 to 13-year-old book club, which is why I have 31 titles to share with you today, because I'm going to go through all of them. For the most part, they read the same book. A great graphic novel is a great graphic novel. A lot of these are geared to ages 8 to 12. It's just occasionally I run into one that's definitely a little more on the younger end. And so I pick something separate for the older kids, or I run into one that feels maybe a little too mature or older for my 8 to 10-year-olds. And so then I will pick a different one. But welcome. I am so glad you are here. I am Mary Wilson. I am a homeschooling mom of, I guess, technically of one kid, but I have 4 children. I have just graduated 3 of them. So I'm not sure how to make that introduction anymore. Am I still a homeschooling mom of 4? Not really, because I'm not homeschooling a lot of them. So, okay, sorry, my YouTube image adjustment is bugging me a little. So I'm going to change that. Okay, YouTube. I don't look so weird now over there. Okay, so go ahead, say hi. Let me know that you're here. Tell me if you are a current student, if you are a former student, if you're hoping to be a new student. So I know who we have here. I'm going to explain how registration works and all of that. But first, I'm going to get to what you're here for, and that is the titles. So these are for my weekly graphic novel class. It meets on Tuesdays. All sections meet on Tuesday. And right now there are 8 sections. There are 4 for the 8 to 10-year-olds and 4 for the middle school 11 to 13-year-olds. As of right now, the middle school section is actually full for the coming year. I see that current student. I know who that is. The 11 to 13 are actually full, but we will be starting a wait list, and the 8 to 10-year-old section will have openings. How is the 11 to 13 already full? Well, that has to do with current students who moved up from the 8 to 10 to the 11 to 13 book club. Obviously, they get their spots first and they have them secured. And I take it as a high compliment that many of them do not want to leave. They want to continue, and I am so glad, because I see these students every week and it'll be fun to see them again in the fall. Okay, I tried a million times to flip my camera on Instagram Live, but Instagram has not given me access to search the effects in Instagram Live. You have to be able to search the effects. I'm trying again in case I can search them now. But it does not look like it's giving me a camera flip. Okay, so ooh. I didn't mean to choose something weird. Okay. It's not giving me a camera flip, so I'm so sorry that these books are going to be backwards for you. But I will put a link in my bio where you can go and look at all of the titles in an Amazon storefront, and then they will all be straight for you. So I'm sorry I tried. If you're on YouTube, I do believe that camera does have them flipped, so you will be seeing them correctly. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So this class will start on September 9th, that Tuesday, and we'll meet almost every Tuesday until April 28th. We do take the month of December off. It's for my sanity. I was a homeschooling mom of little ones for years, and December's crazy. So it's just a good month for everyone to take off, have time to do other things, and then we regroup again in January. So we will be kicking off the year with a new graphic novel, The Cartoonist Club, which is by a popular graphic novel author, Raina Telgemeier, and she teamed up with Scott McCloud. And the reason I love kicking off with this one is the kids form a cartoonist club and they are writing their own comics. And so much of what they talk about what goes into a great comic book are the very things we talk about in the graphic novel book club. The elements that we talk about that we see in other stories, they are talking about naturally as they have formed this club and they are writing and creating their own graphic novels. And I think it's a really fun way to start the year. And, who knows, it might inspire some of the kids to try writing their own. So that will be our first title. Okay, I'm going to start stacking these here, but at some point I'm going to have to put them back on my bookcase because there's just too many. Then we will head into a beautiful graphic novel, Treasure in the Lake. We read Ember, creatures, something about Ember last year. I can't remember the name of it, but this is by the same author, and I just love the graphics in this book. It's a fun fantasy story. We will then read Treasure in the Lake. I'm trying to hold it up for YouTube also. For YouTube, I need it up higher. For Instagram, down here. All right. After that, we are going to go into a graphic novel that is inspired by a true story of a Muslim all-girls basketball team and their adventures through the season, starting off as not a great team, and then how they kind of pull together and have a more successful season. So this will be another fun one. I could literally say that about all of these. I'm not going to keep saying that though. Okay, then we go to a week where we're going to read two separate graphic novels. The older students, the 11 to 13-year-olds, are going to read the graphic novel version of the 39 Clue series. This has been turned into a graphic novel. This is book one, The Maze of Bones. And it just felt like it might be a little scary for some 8, 9-year-olds in particular, maybe even 10-year-olds. So I am only doing this with the 11 to 13-year-olds. The younger kids that same week will read Super Pancake. About a pancake who becomes a superhero. What could be more delightful and fun than a pancake becoming a superhero? So that will be the end of our first month. All right, then we are going to go into a science fiction. Okay, it's a weird one. I don't know what else to say, but I felt like it was such an interesting book to talk about, but it is a little odd. It is called Oasis. It is interesting graphics. It is about a robot that is discovered by a kid, and she gets it working and it comes into her household. And I don't want to give too much away, but um, it was weird. But sometimes kids really like weird, and I like to have a variety. So this science fiction is very different. I will be curious to see what the kids think, but I thought the graphics, it also presented something different in the graphics. We have the black and white. I think this will be a particularly interesting discussion. Then we go to a popular series, Besties Prank War. This is actually not book one in the Besties series, but after having read it, I picked it because you don't have to read book one. This one makes sense. Sorry, I got a phone call. Not sure what that just did to the live. I hope we're all still here. All right. So you don't have to read book one. So I grabbed Besties Prank War. You can just start here. And of course, if your child does enjoy it, there's more in this series that they could check out. Both groups will read this. Then we have another week where we're, I think, divided. Are we divided? Let me double check. I don't want to be saying the wrong thing. Oh, I have these out of order. That is the problem. Okay. I'm going to come down here. Then we are both going to read Gamerville. This was a fun one, always an interesting one to read about gaming. And you're going to have to forgive me. I've read many of these like a few months ago, and I don't remember exactly every reason I picked each of the books, but I do think there were some messages in this one about gaming, and I think it's going to be a good discussion. I'm a fan of gaming. I am a pro gaming person, so this is not like a we're going to lecture how video games are bad. I don't feel that way at all. Then we have a really beautiful one, and this one had been requested in the past. We're finally going to get to it. It's called The Moth Keeper. It's fantasy, it's magical, about this young child who is taking over this role of like guardian of the moths, is now going to be the moth keeper for this village in a fantasy land. And it was a lot of fun and really different than other things. And again, that is one of my goals during the school year, is to be picking a variety of books, because everyone likes different things. And I want all the kids to have a book they love, and maybe a book that they would never pick up on their own. And maybe after reading it, they still didn't love it, but they're getting to experience all these different types of titles. Okay, after that, we are going to, why do I have these backwards? I don't know. We are going to read Speechless. This is a new one that was released this year. It was a really great read. And it's about Mira. And even though she can speak just fine at home, she has a lot of anxiety at school and has trouble speaking at all. And it's a little bit of her story. We're going to read that one. I really loved this one. And then this one is really different, but I was really excited to see this. This is a graphic novel based on the life of John Muir, who helped create the national parks, was inspired and by the nature in our country. And so his expeditions, his exploring the globe, making friends with the president, are part of the reasons we have the national parks in the USA. So this one was fun. Having a little bit more of a biography one. Again, very different art in this one, very different style of graphic novel, but I think it's going to be, I always like to try to pull some sort of memoir or biography during the year. And come on, we're homeschoolers. We love John Muir. Right? And nature and outdoors. Okay, give me a moment. I'm going to clear these books. Now they're all backwards, but that's okay. I will deal with that tomorrow. I'll get them sorted out in order. That is the shelf that I keep all the current graphic novels. Okay, after the one on John Muir, we are going to read Paul's, a popular series that we have never done in Graphic Novel Book Club. Can you believe? I mean, this is my 4th or 5th year. I'd have to look it up. Teaching Graphic Novel Book Club. And I am still not repeating books every week. So like 27 books a year. So many graphic novels and so many really good ones. So we are going to read Paws, which is about some kids who want to make money and they create a dog walking group. And then we are going to split, and the groups are going to read different things. The younger group is going to read Astrid and Stella and book 1 of their adventures, while the older group, and yes, we split because of this book, is going to read Secrets of Camp Whatever. And because it's a little creepy, definitely kid appropriate, but definitely a little bit creepy, we are going to keep those separate. So the older kids will read this one, while the younger kids will read this one. Both excellent books. And again, if you're just keeping a book list, well, you might have an 8 or 9-year-old that would enjoy this. Go ahead and read it together. I just have to think about the bigger picture of people, as I'm picking for other people's children. Okay. Then we will have a winter break. That takes us all the way through Thanksgiving week. And then we take the month of December off. After that, we will come back January 6th. And this year I picked a wordless graphic novel. And it's actually by the same author who did that science fiction one, Oasis. It's beautiful. I loved the story. And I thought it'd be really fun to specifically look at how the images tell the story. Because that's what we're always talking about in Graphic Novel Book Club. We always spend 10 to 15 minutes kind of talking about the story, the characters, all of that kind of thing. And then we spend the second half of Graphic Novel Book Club talking about how the images help tell the story, where we see a use of different panels, different color palettes, speech bubbles, all that kind of things. What are ways the artists, what are the things that they are doing to help support the storytelling? And so it'll be fun to have absolutely no words and to look at how the story is told through only pictures. And they are beautiful pictures. Okay, then I like to also grab popular titles that have been adopted into a graphic novel. I know the older kids are doing 39 Clues, um, but we also have both groups will be doing Aru Shah and the End of Time. I actually thought this was a really well done adaptation. That said, I never read the original. But a lot of times when you read the graphic novel version, you're like, okay, something's not making sense. I'm not quite getting it all here. I followed the story pretty easily in this one. So, yay for this adaptation. Okay, next we will be reading. Oh my gosh, my graphic novel students have very strong feelings about this next author. Okay, they either love him or not so much. But I always pick one of Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales. We are big fans in this house, so I do have the special version. You do not need the special large edition of Alamo All Stars. I also have the regular version in the house, and that's probably the one I will read that week and mark up, but I'll show the kids, the big version as well. But these were some of my boys' absolute favorite books that they read all the time, which is why I like to do one every year. Actually, I might stick with the bigger one. Nathan Hill's images are always pretty tiny for my little eyes, my old eyes. But my boys, they love these. I make sure to do one every year because some people have never run across them. And I like to make sure I'm doing at least one each year to introduce people, especially if Nathan Hale is new to them. So we will read Alamo All Stars this year. We have never done that one. All right, next, we both groups will do Speak Up Santiago. This is about a boy whose family, his grandmother only speaks Spanish. He's been trying to learn it. He's spending the summer with his grandmother, and he's just feeling awkward about his inability to speak Spanish as well as everyone else around him does. So, um, this is a really fun one that we'll be reading. Then we have another fantasy, Swan Lake and the Quest for the Kingdoms. See if I made any notes about this one. No, just a great fantasy adventure book. We'll talk about favorite characters, who they really enjoyed in that graphic novel fantasy. Then we have, I also have been really enjoying picking a classic title that has a graphic novel adaptation. Last year we did Anne of Green Gables. In the past, we've done The Secret Garden. And this year, the author that did Anne of Green Gables has released Heidi. I really enjoyed this one. Now, I've never read Heidi, but this was such a beautiful, I mean, really, it's beautiful colors, beautiful art. I'm looking forward to discussing this. And there might be a lot of kids who aren't familiar with the story of Heidi. I don't think it's as popular as it once was, but there you go. And of course, you all are homeschooling parents. So when you get the book list, and you do receive, these are the book lists I'm looking at. I put them in page protectors as soon as I print them out. When you get the book list, you can plan some things in your school year around this. So if you see that the graphic novel Heidi is coming up, listen to the audiobook Heidi beforehand. If you think about it, you don't have to. You don't have to. We're not going to compare them in class because not everyone will have done that because it's not an assignment, but you can if you would like. Okay, let's continue. I know you all want to see these books. Then we have the book Almost Sunset. Okay. And you're going to love this as a homeschooling parent. So this is about a boy who is celebrating Ramadan. It's a Muslim family, but he's really the only one, he thinks, at school and on his soccer team, I think it's soccer, that is celebrating that. And so it's just kind of his struggles with kind of fitting in, kind of having energy for soccer practice when he can't eat during the day, and just kind of balancing all of that in his life. What I love is that Ramadan starts on a Tuesday, and we meet and read this graphic novel on that Tuesday. So I love how that worked out. And yes, sometimes it works out coincidentally. This time I planned it. So I will take full credit for that. So it's again a great opportunity as a homeschooling family if you want to learn more about that holiday, kind of incorporate, just even if you don't celebrate it, it's a Muslim holiday, so that may not be something you celebrate, but what a great way to kind of learn a little more about Ramadan. So great way to include that, and it was a really great book. Okay, and then we have, again, we split up more this year than we have in the past. So we are going to split between two. Oh no, and one of them hasn't come. I can't hold it up. Yes, it has. I don't know where I have it, but one of my books is out of order. Okay, well, the younger group is going to read Barb the Berserker, The Last Berserker. Crazy, fun book, colorful. This will be for the 8 to 10-year-olds. And for the life of me, I cannot find where I put the older kids' book that I know has come in, but it is called Secret of the Ravens. So it's another one that we're just kind of splitting up. The older kids, the middle school group will read Secret of the Ravens, and the younger kids will read Barb the Berserker. All right, I see somebody asking, do I have a teen book club? I do have a monthly fiction teen book club, ages 13 to 15, and I will be sharing those titles tomorrow at noon. For the graphic novel, it's 11 to 13. I do allow 14-year-olds in the group. I have tons of 14-year-olds in the group. I have made a general rule that once, if you turn 15 before book club begins in September, then it is time to move on. I don't have an older book club, and the age gap between like 11 and 15 was just getting a little bit wide. So I did need to make a general rule. I love that the 15-year-olds want to stay, but they can join the monthly fiction book club. Okay, next, both groups will be reading Yummy. This is another one that has been requested more than once. This is a history of desserts. So homeschooling parents, get the ice cream sundaes that week, have some desserts to celebrate, and read about the history of desserts. This is a nonfiction. So is the Nathan Hale. I like to do at least 2 nonfiction each year. Those, we might have more. I don't think so. No, those are the 2 nonfiction I chose this year. Then we will have 2 weeks of spring break. That is mainly because my kids are on spring break and I travel for a basketball thing and I travel for Florida, visiting my parents. And then we will come back at the end of March. And this is going to be interesting. We're going to read a book, Very Bad at Math, about a girl with dyscalculia, I think I'm saying that correctly, who really struggles in mathematics specifically. And then the next week, both groups are going to read Mixed Up. And Mixed Up is about a girl with dyslexia. So I thought it would be kind of fun to read these back to back and kind of compare. Like, what do we see as similar? What is a little bit different in the storytelling? And I loved including both of these, and I thought it would be fun to, again, contrast them by doing them back to back since the topics similar. Okay, give me another moment. I'm going to move yet another stack of books back here. All right, I'll fix all those when we're done. Okay, lots of graphic novels. All right, and then we are going to read another one by Raina Telgemeier, very popular author for graphic novels for tweens and teens, and that is Smile. We have never done this one. You can probably guess what this one's about. And usually hers, I haven't read this one in a while, but are a little bit memoirish about her own experience. So these are always a fun read. Again, not everyone loves them. So please know, I welcome kids' opinions when they're like, I don't like this one at all. I feel like this concept is overdone, or I get tired of these coming of age or identity stories. Like, we talk about all of that. So your child doesn't have to love every book on the list. They are allowed to come with opinions saying, I didn't love it. But I do try to pick a variety. So there's something everyone loves. Okay. Then I decided, I think the author of Last Kids on Earth has Last Comics on Earth. So this was a fun one. Both groups will be doing this one as well. Then we have another week where we are split. The older group will be reading Ink Girls. Nothing was not okay for an 8 to 10-year-old in this book. I just thought that the plot was a little more detailed. It was a little longer. So I thought it was a perfect week to go ahead and have the 8 to 10-year-olds read Diana and Nubia, Princess of the Amazons. We did book 1 of this series last year or the year before. You do not have to read book 1 to understand book 2, which is why it was a great one to do. And I just thought they would really enjoy that. So that is why we are splitting. But both of these are great books to put on your child's reading list, no matter which age group they would fall in. And our final book, we are down to the last one. Our final Tuesday is Nighttime Librarian. just another kind of fantasy fun. And of course, library. There are a lot of different titles mentioned in this one that your kids are going to know. In fact, that's the question I have for that week is who's your favorite literary appearance in the book and your favorite book in real life that's mentioned in the book. So this is going to be a really fun one. I'm seeing some comments. Smile is one of our favorites. It is a good one. We've done Guts. She also wrote Guts and Sisters. We've done both of those. It's time to do Smile. Almost Sunset was excellent. I was really impressed. I thought it captured well. And again, we talk about this sometimes in book club. While this message is about someone feeling out of place because they celebrate a holiday different than other people, how can that universal theme kind of relate to all of us? Like, how can we have empathy for that particular situation, understanding, but also does it relate to us in some way? So always a great discussion. And I see that Ink Girls, somebody else really liked Ink Girls. I thought it was a lot of fun too. It's about the importance of the press and the freedom of the press and just kind of a fun. It's not based on a true story or historical event, but it was a lot of fun. Okay. So now, I have all that. Quick things about registration. When you register for Graphic Novel Book Club, registration opens to the public on July 1st at noon. You will get a printable list of all the titles, so you can request them from the library ahead of time. If you like to order them, you can order them. Obviously, I order them, but that's because I tried doing the library one year as a teacher, and I did not want to keep up with that during the year. But absolutely, the Kindle versions are fine too. They can be a little difficult, but we make it work in class because the page numbers are different than the paperback versions. So that can be a little tricky, but we make it work. Occasionally, we even run into a graphic novel with no page numbers, and we make that work too. We're very flexible. It's fun. It's relaxed. We have a great time. If you missed the selections, this will be available as a replay. Again, it's on YouTube. I am talking to YouTube at the same time. I'm more focused on Instagram, so I'm really sorry, YouTube, if my eye contact looks weird in the video. I'm looking at my phone, even though my computer is recording as well. But these will play on replay. I will also put a link as soon as this is over. I will put a link in my bio that will take you to the graphic novel storefronts on my Amazon storefront. You don't have to buy them from Amazon, though it is an affiliate storefront. But it's just for the graphic novels in particular, it's really nice to see them visually. Okay, so the current status of these classes is that the wait list for the 11 to 13-year-olds has already started. Current students are already joining the wait list. These are students who are in my monthly fiction who either want to switch to graphic novel or they would like to add it in addition to the monthly fiction. The wait list is opened for them. In early June, probably June 1st or somewhere very early in that week, I will also announce to all the summer classes that they can join the wait list. Anyone in the summer classes can get their name on the wait list. The 8 to 10-year-old graphic novel book club does have a decent amount of openings because so many people bumped up. So if you're looking to get an 8 to 10-year-old in the graphic novel book club, there is no wait list for that. There are openings. If you're in a summer book club, easily, no problem. You should be able to get in. And there will probably be openings on July 1st. I will keep my email list updated on that as well as Instagram. And I think that's everything. They're offered at all sorts of various times. The elementary school, this is going to test my memory, is offered at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1:40 p.m. Eastern, and 2:20 p.m. Eastern. It's like every 35 at 1. Then I have a middle school book club and a middle school book club. And then I have the elementary school book club again at 4:40 p.m. Eastern. So the earliest for elementary school is 1:00 p.m. Eastern. The latest is 4:40 p.m. Eastern. The middle school, I had to add an additional section this year to accommodate everyone, meets at 12:20 a.m. Eastern is the earliest. And then they have a 3:00 p.m. Eastern, 4:00 p.m. Eastern, and a 5:20 p.m. Eastern. And please know, the wait list typically, I will have a few openings happen pretty quickly in the fall because as I get to know the groups, I often find, hey, this group could use another person, or I could allow another person in here. Some groups tend to be quieter, groups tend to be more chatty. And that's my job, right, as the teacher, is to kind of get to know that. Now, as I've gotten to know many of these students over 4 years, I'm better at that right at the start of the year because I can look down the list and I know people and I know like, oh, this is going to be a really chatty group, or this could be a little quieter. We need to get a few talkers in here, and that sort of thing. Because of course my goal is that everyone feels comfortable. So I have kids who sit silently almost the whole year. They just really enjoy it. They like to talk to their parents about it after book club, but they are not comfortable talking in our Zoom meeting on Outschool. I have other students who want to share an opinion about every question I ask. So all are welcome. And that's how we roll. All right. If there are any other questions, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Instagram, feel free to drop them. I'll stay here a minute. Tomorrow, questions can come in, but tomorrow I will be sharing the titles for the monthly fiction classes. So those classes meet 9 times during the school year, once a month on a Wednesday or a Thursday, either the first week or the second week. Like I keep it consistent month to month, and I will share those titles tomorrow. They're 8 to 10-year-old, 11 to 13, and 13 to 15. If you're on the border of any of those, you can go either way. I have 10 or 11-year-olds that actually do both. They do the 8 to 10 and the 11 to 13, but you can do either. And 13-year-olds I've included in both groups because I started finding that some 13 and 14-year-olds did not want violence, did not want suspense, tense books. So they like to stay in the 11 to 13-year-old group. And it's a really great list of books. Where other 13-year-olds, they're ready for dystopic and violent and suspenseful and all of those kinds of things. So they are welcome in the teen group, though I think a 14 to 15-year-old's kind of when I'm picking those titles. So that's how the monthly one works, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Before I shut this down, are there any other questions about the graphic novel book club? Again, it's only a half hour. Every Tuesday. December is off. It is a subscription. So if that is new to you on Outschool, you subscribe to the class. It charges you on Sunday night. I mean, it charges you right away for the first meeting. Then your next charge would be the Sunday night before the meeting that week. And you can leave anytime. So if you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know if my kid's going to like this, I don't know how it's going to work for us, you can always say to your child, hey, do you want to give this a try? You could try it just for September. And you can withdraw if it doesn't work out for your family. I have a lot of people who spring sports, their schedules change and they need to withdraw at that time. That's where I get a lot of openings. So if you're on the wait list and you haven't heard from me, well, somewhere around February or March, you will, because I get a lot of changes at that time. All right, I think siblings. A lot of people ask me about siblings. Both siblings have to be registered. That is an Outschool rule. And it just makes sense in terms, I'm trying to monitor conversation. So if I know I have 7 students in the class and then an 8th one shows up and I didn't expect them because they weren't registered, that's not going to work. So every sibling has to register. Some siblings like to share a screen. Some prefer to be on their own screen. I have some siblings who are in the same section on the same screen. Others want their own class time. So they're signed up for different sections. I will work with parents, try to get the siblings back to back, or at least within a time period that makes more sense and that sort of thing. Once you are in a class, I will work with you. I will have people email and be like, hey, we had a field trip come up that morning. Is there any way you could squeeze us in for the afternoon today? I can usually make that happen. I won't make any promises, but typically if it's for just 1 week, I can kind of bop people around, make it work for that week, and then put them back in their original class. Okay, I think that's the main questions I get. So this was fun. It was fun to finally share the list. I've been picking these books forever. And it's always so fun to kind of look back. I picked them a while ago and now I got to share them with you all and go through it. And once again, I'm like, wow, that is a great list of books. Go me. But it's going to be a lot of fun to discuss. All right, it doesn't look like any questions are coming in, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'll go ahead and end on YouTube first. And that way, if there's any other questions on Instagram, they can pop in here.